crafty friends. Katrina the Crafty Cataloger here with my January 2026 crafting update. If this is the first time you're stopping by to check out my channel, I appreciate you doing so, and I hope that you will see something that you enjoy and inspires you. I do cover a lot of different things because I can't seem to decide on one thing to do in life. I am mainly a cross stitcher, but I do also dabble a bit in quilting and knitting and paper crafting, and I do read quite a bit, so I try to share a little bit from all of those areas. If you're one of my returning friends, thank you so much for coming back to see me. I appreciate your support and your comments and knowing that you're all out there more than you'll ever know. I do have a lot to share this month. I'm quite pleased with the progress I made on all of my projects and all of my goals. And so let's hop right to it, and we will start with cross stitch. If you were with me last month, you heard me say that for some reason I joined the 2026 Haid sale, and that I was going to be starting the my brain just like ooh. The Stone Cottage Keep was the piece that I chose to do for the challenge. I am a little sad that they just gave everything to everybody up front. I know it was very generous of them to do that, but it kind of makes it like, why am I bothering to do this other pattern? But that's neither here nor there. I did start Stone Cottage Keep. This is what Stone Cottage Keep will look like when it is finished. I had done the math and had figured out that if I were to do 800 stitches a month, I would have reached the challenge goal by after the first week of October. And that was kind of my goal in order to give myself a little bit of extra time, just in case something came up and I didn't reach my goal one month. So my goal is to do 800 stitches each month. This was a new year, new start. I worked on it from January 1st through January 11th. I was able to put in 2,459 stitches, so well exceeded my 800. There are 88,145 stitches total in this piece, so my 2,459 puts me at 2.79%, and I am pretty pleased with how this is looking already. I can see the roof coming in over here. I'm gonna turn on one more light and see if that helps things any. Oh, that makes it a little bit brighter. So that is where I am on Stone Cottage Keep, and today being the first day of the first full week of the month, I will be putting this one back on the stand when I am done with this video, and this will be what is worked on this week. Then the second and third weeks of every month are going to be my whip go goals, whatever was called for that month. This last month was 2 and 7, I think. Let us look. Yes, 2 and 7, and number 2 was Sweater Weather. Sweater Weather is a Plum Street Samplers pattern. These are being done for my sister-in-law, who does have a dachshund named Penny. This is probably the last one I will do of these, unless they come out with one that we just absolutely love. The goal was to complete 1/3 of the pattern. I did, on the paper pattern, I figured out what the 3 sections would be, and I kind of put post-it notes to kind of tell myself where they would be, because I did manage to get this into Pattern Keeper, so I wasn't using the pattern when stitching. I did a center start on this one, and I did get that middle section basically done. There may be 1 or 2 small stitches here or there in that actual center section that aren't finished, but then I have some that are hanging over, so I'm pretty sure that I actually did more stitches than what I did not do in that section. So I am counting that as a completed goal. 1/3 of the pattern is finished. So that is sweater weather. And then the other goal was to work on This Is the Day. And the goal on my board was to put 4 hours worth of work into this. The reason I had chosen a time goal for this was because it was not in Pattern Keeper. I have since managed to get it into Pattern Keeper, but I'm just kind of leaving the 4-hour goal as what the goal is, because I don't feel like changing my board at this point. For those of you who have never seen this one before, this one is also at Plum Street Samplers. This is the day. That house is huge. That's all I have to say. Oh, I forgot to say that I worked on sweater weather from the 12th through the 18th, and I put in 1,608 stitches. This is the day, as of January 1st, it had about 5,688 stitches already in it. I worked on it from the 19th to the 25th, and I estimate that I put in about 1,435 stitches, so I can't tell you how many hours I put into it. I'm guessing close to 10, because I had met the 4-hour goal by Tuesday or Wednesday, and I continued to work on it for the rest of the week. So I could just, I also keep forgetting to tell you that I'm going to put up a picture of what it looked like before, but hopefully I did that, and so you can see that I did a lot of house. So that one's coming right along. And then the last week of the month is going to be the week that I spend on my other full coverage pieces, and those are in a rotation where I work on it for 2 months, and then I switch to a different one for 2 months, and then I switch to a different one for 2 months. This rotation, it is Mini Village Bookstore, which I will put a picture of what that should look like right there, and I will, I will also put a picture of what it did look like. I worked on that one from January 26th through yesterday, February 1st. And I forgot to write down the number of stitches, but I can find that really quick. I put a total of 1,063 stitches into it. 714 of them were in January, but we're not going to get nitpicky on that because this rotation just happened to fall over into the new month. I now have 45,778 stitches out of 79,395, putting me at 57.66%. I tried to focus mainly over here and fill in all of the random ninja stitches that I had. When I started Stone Cottage Keep, I had actually watched a couple of videos talking about the Royal Rose method because I kept hearing about it and I wanted to know more about it. I kind of knew from watching the videos that I would not be able to do that. I have been a cross-country stitcher ever since I started stitching, even though I didn't even know that's what it was called. And to stick in that, and to strictly stick into a section like that, I just can't. Like, it's like my brain goes, but there's a stitch right there, and I want to do it. So when I started Stone Cottage Keep, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try to do sort of that, and I'm going to try to stick in an area a little more closely. And I did. And so what I'm trying to do, I'm doing on this one, and I'm trying to get my other full coverage pieces to this point, is I want to fill in all the ninja stitches, and then I want to try working roughly in about a 20 by 20 area and park it instead of just working wherever. Because what I do find is that I stitch, I'm also trying, I should add, I am also trying to do, and I always have tried to do Sarah Stitch and Mommy's typewriter method, but I was a little willy-nilly about it in the past, and I'm trying to be a little more structured and make myself go back and do exactly that one. What I used to be real willy-nilly about was I would get up there and I would see, oh, that's the one I should do, that's in the far left. And then I would be like, but there's only one stitch and I don't want to do that ninja stitch. So I would leave it, and then I would end up with all these 1 or 2 stitch things. And honestly, the longer I leave them, the harder that makes them for me, because then it's like I have to really work to figure out what stitch that is and what color that is. So I'm really trying to force myself to fill it in exactly that way. And I actually think that's helping me a lot. So I'm going to really try to do better about that. And like I said, I was trying to fill in all the ninja stitches on Mini Village Bookstore. And I was, trying to get that filled in so that I can then work across. When I pick Mini Village Bookstore up again the last week of this month, though, my goal is going to be to start at this peak and try to get this filled in at least kind of to that line. And then when it comes back out later in the year, I'll probably start back over here and do some chunks this way. I am still hoping that I can get that one to a point where next year I can make that my focus piece and finish it next year. And what I think I'm going to do next year, this year, like I said, Stone Cottage Keep gets the first week of every month. Then the next 2 weeks are Whip Go, and the 4th week of every month will be my full coverage rotation. So that means that there are going to be some times this month it won't happen. I don't think it will happen in March, but there will be some times where that full coverage piece actually gets a few more days, possibly even a full week, because the first full week is 4 or 5 days into the month. So I think next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it. I am going to make my full coverage rotation piece be the first week of the month. And I'm going to make Mini Village Bookstore be like Stone Cottage Keep is. This, it will just get the last week plus whatever for the entire year. And Stone Cottage Keep will become part of the full coverage rotation. Did that make any sense? I feel like that was clear as mud. Basically, I'm going to move next year, move Stone Cottage Keep to the full coverage rotation, and I'm going to flip-flop so that the piece that I actually want to get the most work has the potential to get the most days. Hopefully that wasn't so muddy. Anyway, that is all I have. No, it's not all I have to share for stitching. I did want to shout out a couple of new people that I've watched, or people that I've been watching, and I'm not sure that I've ever mentioned them before. I just came across a new one the other day. Her channel name is Wandering Foot. She only has 2 or 3 videos out so far, but she has a lot of nice stuff, and I've enjoyed watching the couple of videos she has put out, so perhaps go check her out. And also, I have been watching Amy at Renewing Stitches, and I really enjoy her weekly updates, and she does a lot of flip throughs of the old magazines from the 80s, which are just fun to see and reminisce about. Go cards. And it feels like there was somebody else I was going to mention, but now I can't remember who. If I didn't write it down, that's my problem. I need to write stuff down. That is all for stitching. Let's move on to knitting. I have continued to work on the baby dress. For this one would be for my granddaughter. It's got to be way too big. We'll deal with that when we're finished. At this point, I just would like to finish a full dress and be able to say that I did it. Ooh, 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 ooh. No, 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 no. I just knocked my stitch holder off. So here is where we are. And you can see there's a stitch. I'm trying to hold it and see the stitch marker myself. There's a stitch marker, and there's where I am. That stitch marker would have been moved after my last video. I need to measure because I am getting close. I think I'm within about an inch of where I need to stop. But also, this is all the yarn I have left on this ball. So what I'm going to do, because after you get the skirt to the desired length, they tell you to go make the sleeves out of a different ball of yarn. Well, I only have one other skein because it told me that 2 skeins would be enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this little chunk of yarn today. Had hoped I would finish it Saturday in the car, and I didn't quite make it. I'm going to finish that. Excuse me. And then I am going to go make the sleeves. And then I will add in, after I've got the sleeves made, I will add in and continue with the skirt. Otherwise, I would have to cut the yarn to make the sleeves, and that just seems like a lot of work. So that is the dress. It is what it is. Next up, let's talk about quilting. Last month I told you that I was going to work on the This Way, That Way quilt, which is a quilt that I have had in a bin to work on for probably 2 years. Sorry for all the rustling. This is the pattern, basically. Mine's not gonna look anything like that, although I do like those colors. That is the pattern. Mine is going to be black and white and red. And I won't bore you by showing each and every one of these, but so I'll just show a few examples. I do have 13 of these in blacks. I have 12 of some red ones. Okay, I'll just show you a few. And I have a mess over here on my craft desk of pieces cut. I am hoping to sew together. So like I literally have like these two are sewn together and this one needs to be added kind of deal going on. I have a stack of blacks and a stack of reds. I am hoping to finish sewing together what I have paired up already today. And then I have a few more pieces cut, but not paired up, I think. But the problem was, so this fabric, all these fabrics were part of a jelly roll. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. If you're not a quilter, basically what the company does, or stores could do it, I guess, is they take and they cut strips of the fabric. I think these were 2.5 inches wide, and they're the length of the fabric. And they cut it, and then they roll it up into a roll, and that's how they sell it, and that's why they call it a jelly roll. So all of these different fabrics, and I don't know how many different ones there were, but they were in this jelly roll. There seemed to have been a lot more of the white backgrounded, or what I would call a light fabric, than there were darks. So in order to make this quilt work, you need your outside squares, the outsides of your squares. So this, like this corner right here, there's one square. There's 3 strips, 1, 2, 3. You need your outer 2 strips to be darks and your inside to be light in order for it to work. Saturday, my husband and I drove over to Mona Shores High School to watch one of his former students play at Solo Ensemble, and he was kind enough to take me and let me run into a quilt shop over there. And I bought more red and black fabric because I have plenty of the whites, but I needed more of the darks. So what I'm hoping at the end of today is to be able to figure out exactly how many strips I need to cut and maybe get them cut, but I probably won't sew any of those together. So obviously I could not get that same fabric, but I got fabrics that will coordinate. So this is one of the reds I got. And this is the other red I got. It has little polka dots. And then I got 2 blacks. That one. And this one is also like a polka dot. I was trying to get things, obviously I couldn't get things with hearts or anything like that, but I was trying to get things that I thought would still coordinate okay. And I bought a yard of each, which is probably way more than I need. But I'm actually also hoping that maybe out of that I can get maybe another border or the back. I doubt that I can get the backing out of all of this unless I piece a back, which I don't like to do just because that's a lot of work. But anyway, I am making progress on that quilt, and I am happy that I did make progress. I had also mentioned that back around Thanksgiving I had taken 2 quilts to the Long Armors, and I actually just messaged them last week to ask what the status was, because usually they're about a 2 or 3 week turnaround, and it had been almost 2 months, and she's like, oh, they're ready. So I still need to put the binding on them, but I did get my wall hangings back. This one she did, you can kind of see there's a flower there and some leaves, so that one looks really nice. And the binding will be this back. Oh, I guess you can see the quilting really cool on the back. Didn't think about that because it's solid. So that's what the quilt pattern looks like. And the binding will be this same fabric. And the binding is already made and sitting over there. I just have to sew it on to the quilt with the machine, and then I can do the handwork. The other one was the 4th of July one. And again, you can see the quilting pretty decently on the back. Although I think she did this one in light blue. This one, she did stars. You can see the stars. So I think that's really cool. And the binding for this one will be this blue also, I believe. So very happy about that. I do need to have the first one I showed done by about mid-March, because it needs to go on the wall for spring. That's my spring one. I know it's not super springy, but it's what I have. So why do I say so much? Anyway, that's what I have done in quilting and what I will be working on in quilting. Next up, let's talk about paper crafting. The 2 blocks that got called for my WhipGo paper crafting board were to make 10 Christmas cards and 4 female birthday cards. And I am pleased to say that I actually got them done. So the 10 Christmas cards are all the same style, but they'll look different. I'll show them, but I want to show you the card itself. So this piece flips up and this opens up, and it's like a little fun fold. So there's 1, 2, and 3, 4. And sometimes Katrina doesn't pay attention to what she's doing, so we have some that open backwards, but it is what it is. 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, and 10. 10 Christmas cards. And then I had to make 4 female birthday cards. So I made 2 of those, but I don't know where the other one is. I made the mistake of putting stuff in my box. That's one. The other one looks very, very similar. And when I talk about my box, so I have this, the top doesn't go down as the best it should, but I have this cute box that I bought at Joann's back in the day. If the lid would go down, it magnets. But inside I have tabs for each month, and then I have tabs for like thinking of you and wedding. Unfortunately, the tabs fit in there better, but the cards, I don't know why the top isn't wanting to go down. I guess I just had a card sticking up too high. Anyway, the front tabs for each month, I put, as I make a card for someone in particular, I put the card in there. And I've also been trying to, oh, there's the other one right there. I've been trying to put a post-it note with the person's name and what year. That actually is the other one of that one. So there's 2 of my 4 female birthday cards. And I believe this one and this one were the other 2 female birthday cards. So those are for 2027. Remember, my plan was, my hope was to be able to make the stuff on my WhipGo board be actually for next year, and I wanted to have everything for this year done, and we all know that I did not do that. So I have my trusty list here of what I still had to do. I needed 2 kids cards. I still need, which I made, and I'll show you in a second. I still need 8 more female birthday cards, 2 male birthday cards, and 5 anniversary cards to finish out this year. But I did get the 2 kid cards made. They're super simple, but they'll both be turning 1, so they probably won't even look at the card. There's 1. They're both girls, and there's 2. So I did get something off my backlog list made also, and I'm hoping that I can do at least one of those items every month, which would make me be caught up by mid-year. Then I decided that I should make some Valentine's cards. These are the same layout as those Christmas cards. I made one for my husband, one for my daughter-in-law, one for each of my sons. So there's one. There's another one. And another one. Another one. And the last one. And I actually have little treats and a book that I wanted to send to my granddaughter. Oh, did I mention her? I also made one for my granddaughter. I bought her a little board book, and I'm going to put that all together in a box and get it in the mail in the next couple of days. That wraps up paper crafting, except for my plans. This next month in February, I need to make 2 sympathy cards and 2 children's birthday cards. Again, the hope is that those will be for 2027, although the sympathy cards could be for any time. And I am hoping to tackle maybe like the 2 male birthday cards this month. We'll see. Like I said, I'd like to get that list taken care of. That does wrap up paper crafting though, so let's move on to books. I am going to try something a little bit different this month. And I am going to put a collage up here of all of the books I read in the month of January, instead of putting each cover up individually. I read a total of 7 books this month. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were audiobooks. The other 3 were ebooks, but one of those I actually started as a physical book and then finished it as an ebook. So, going from upper left to right and through the rows, I really did enjoy Edenbrook. That was kind of it was a romance. It was like a Victorian. I actually had started The Names of Jesus at the beginning of December with the intent of reading. It was an Advent devotional book, and I just got behind, and so I didn't finish it until January. It was okay. The New Menopause, I'm just trying to educate myself. I am getting close to that. I am that age. Let's just tell it like it is. I am that age, and I'm just trying to learn more about things that I might be able to do to make life better. It was kind of dry. It was very sciencey at the beginning, which just, that's why it took me a month and a half to read it, because I really had to force myself. Uneasy Street, I read for a book club. It was good. That is actually the 3rd book in a series, and I'm pretty sure I've read book 1, but not book 2, but it was not one of those where you were missing out on anything if you hadn't read all of the books in order. It was a contemporary Christian romance. Contemporary is not my favorite, but that one was pretty good. Winter's Maiden is Christian fantasy. I read that one also for a book club. And The Briar Club by Kate Quinn is that what they call literary fiction? It was just fiction. It was historical fiction. It was very good. It was definitely not Christian. If you don't like language, don't read that book. It had a lot. But the story was very good. It took place in the 1950s. I did that one for a book club also. I don't know who I am doing all these book clubby things, because usually that's not my thing, but I'm kind of trying to participate in 3 different book clubs this year. They're all online, they're all virtual, and they're all very low-key participation. So the Winter's Maiden one is done. That one I read for a book club called Faith and Fables, or that's the Instagram channel that does it. And basically they pick a book, and once they decide what book they're going to read, she posts it, and then she asks if you want to be added. All you have to do is, like, she has one of those fancy slider things on the post, and you can just slide it to say, yes, add me to the chat. So if they pick a book that you're not interested in reading, you just don't have her add you to the chat, and then you don't get all of the stuff. So you're not bombarded with stuff you don't care about. They usually do 2 meetings a month. The first meeting, about halfway through the month, they cover the first half of the book, and it's literally an Instagram chat, which I kind of find hard to keep up with as all these new messages are coming through, but it's not terrible. It's just different. And then the second meeting, she usually tries to get a Zoom call with the author, which she did this month. Unfortunately, she tends to have these on Thursday nights, which I can't do right now because band practice is on Thursday nights. But she does upload the recording, and I need to go back and watch it because I did submit a question for the author before the Zoom call, and I'm hoping that it got asked, and I'd like to know the answer. On Easy Street, I read for a new book club that I just joined. It's new, like they just created it. It's called Christian Fiction Reading Challenge, and they've already laid out the 12 books they're going to read for the year. There's a couple that I know I'm not going to participate in, but that one I thought, oh yeah, I would read that one. And that one was they only do a 1 meeting thing, and it was a Zoom call with the author. I find those interesting to hear the author's perspective and how the author did various things, and how authors come up with stories is just fascinating to me, because there was a time in my life when I wanted to be an author, but I have no talent in that area. I can't write you a story to save my life. So, and then the Briar Club, I follow a woman on Instagram. Her name is Jansen Bradshaw. She has her own Instagram, but then she also does another Instagram called Everyday Reading, and this was part of the Everyday Reading Club. And again, she has all of her books laid out for the entire year, and basically she covers a quarter of the book each week of the month, and she just chats about it in her stories on, I think, Wednesdays. So again, you can kind of go back and do it at your own leisure, or like me, first of all, I didn't even start the Briar Club until the 3rd week of the month. I'm not good at chunking up a book like that and reading just part of it. Once I started, I just want to start it and finish it. So I can just wait till the end of the month and go back and watch all of them. So I feel pretty good about that. I have read 7 out of my 75 books for the year. This next month, I have big dreams. I'm pretty sure I cannot possibly read all the books that I have on my list for this month, but we're going to give it a shot. Oh, I guess I should also point out one other thing. I did make a WIPGO board for reading this year, and number 2 was a book called Sense and Suitability by Pepper Basham. I am in the middle of reading that one right now. I should be able to finish that one today. That's my hope. I had hoped to finish it along about Friday, and that didn't happen. And then book number 7 on the 7 square was Karen Wittemeyer's To Love a Beast. Again, I thought I was going to finish that other one on Friday, and then I'd maybe be able to knock To Love a Beast out in the last day or 2 of the month. And that didn't happen. So once I finish Sense and Suitability, I will be reading To Love a Beast, and that one, so that one's on my list for February. And then the two that were called for February, up here we have Mrs. Endicott's Splendid Adventure, which is by Reese Bowen. That is, I believe, a cozy mystery. I have never read a Reese Bowen book, but I've cataloged a lot of them, and several of them have looked good to me. So I thought, well, I'll try that one. And I think it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I can read it for quote unquote free. The other one is a carryover from last year. It's called The Wednesday Daughters by Meg Waite Clayton. And you can see it has the little stack of books icon next to it, which means I have to check that one out of the library, and I need to probably do that one soon. And this month I'm also going to get a little bit of a head start, because next to that one is An Overdue Match by Sarah Monzon, and that is the book that was chosen for the Faith and Fables book club this month. So I will read that one and get that one marked off. And the Christian Fiction Reading Challenge this month, the book they picked was The English Masterpiece, which is also on my board. So if I can get the two caught up from last month, plus do the two that were called this month and those other two for those book clubs, I'm actually going to be ahead on that board, which would be awesome. What else did I have on my list, though? Because I did have a couple of other books on the list aside from those four. Oh, I would like to read To Love a Lady by Gabrielle Meyer, and I would like to read... I have never read a Kristen Hanna book, and I would like to, because they seem very popular, and I would like to see how they are. And so I would like to do The Four Winds. Sounded like it was a good one. So those 2, 3, 4. I have 6 books on the list. I'm not sure if I can get through that many, but at least 1, 2, at least 2 of them are audio. I might see if I can find An Overdue Match as audio, or I probably already have that one in Kindle Unlimited. Let's see where that one was coming from. Oh, nope, that one's available on Hoopla and Libby. So 3 of the 6 are audiobooks, so hopefully that will help my cause. Do I have anything else to share? I don't think so. Like I said, I was very pleased with what I was able to get done this month, and I'm hoping that February will be just as productive, even though it is a shorter month. But we shall see, right? Time will tell. In the meantime, I hope that everyone is staying warm. It has been colder than normal in Michigan, and honestly, it was snowing this morning, and I do have one other project. It's not really a crafty project, but I'm trying to make new seats for my dining room chairs. I'll put a picture of what they currently look like right there. When we purchased this house, we purchased the dining room table and chairs from the previous owners. We had a nice table and chairs at the other house, but they would not have looked right in this house. It was a tall, very dark wood table with tall chairs, and it just would not have looked right in this house. I know it wouldn't have. So I sold it, and I just bought... I asked the owners if they would be willing to sell their table and chairs, and they were like, yeah, sure. We don't really have any attachment to it. And I like it. It's fine. It's not my dream table and chairs, but it's functional and it looks decent. But the straw seats aren't really my thing. So we've lived with them, but I thought, I bet I could make new seats. So this is the fabric I bought to try to make seats, but it's taking me longer to get the bases sanded and formed in the right shape than I would like. And quite frankly, the weather is slowing me down, because I just don't want to go stand out in the barn and do that, because it's so cold. And I had hoped I'd get out there today, but I'm guessing I'm not going to because it looks kind of cold outside and I don't want to do it. So that project may take me another, I started it like almost a month ago. Well, probably not quite a month ago. It was probably the second week of January. But regardless, it's taking me longer than I'd like, but I also am being a wimp and I don't want to go outside. So I hope that you are staying warm if you are anywhere in the United States right now. It seems like it's all cold. And I hope that you are getting lots of crafting and or reading done, and that all is well in your world. And until next month, happy crafting!